Now, before we start this video, I want to say that what you're going to hear may not be what you're comfortable with, okay? And that is, culture has weaknesses. Culture isn't always perfect. Culture is sometimes what's holding you back. Culture is sometimes what is stopping you from progressing in life and growing in life and being able to deal with things in life. Culture, yes. Now, you might say, well, and quickly, before I dive into this, if you know your culture in your mind is the absolute best, there is no flaws in it, no weaknesses in it, click away from this video. You have been warned. Now, you might say culture is something that has been around for a long time in maybe your own culture, right? You might say that, okay, and that's fine. Sure, if something has lived long enough, you are more likely to be like, well, it must be very good and very strong. Well, no, because human beings have lives, okay? Not everyone has time to want to change a culture all the time. And again, especially if the culture benefits you, most likely you won't be wanting to change it, okay? I'll give an example. In some cultures, your age determines your value, meaning the older you are, the more valuable you are, okay? So why would you want to change that? Just think about it. It's just the facts. So if you say, well, culture is good, blah, 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 if it benefits you, you probably won't want to change it. And that's the truth. And also, human beings, we live, we die. By the time you want to change a whole culture, I mean, your time might be up on the planet, because to change a whole culture is a huge responsibility, you know? And as we know throughout time, and even maybe currently in some countries, if you want to change a culture, change the way things are done, you probably get, persecuted. So you see the challenge with changing culture or creating a revolution, if you want to call it that. So, back to this video. Culture holds you back in that, in some cultures, right, that prioritize, a certain people based on their age, okay? They are seen as never doing wrong, or that they can never do wrong. And that's just a fact, okay? And you can guess whatever culture or cultures I'm speaking about, okay, where your age determines your value, meaning the older you are, the more value you have over other people, right? So, because of that, what you will find is that you may not be as respected as you would like. Your opinions may not be as valued, that you may not be listened to, okay, based on those things, right? Like your age, or maybe your position. Basically, if you're not successful enough, you're not valued, right? And it makes sense a little bit. Like, if you are not successful in something, but you want to speak about something, your opinion may not be valued in that thing. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, if you are not successful in any way, your opinions don't matter. You don't get to have a say in things that would even affect you, because whether you're not the oldest or because you're not successful in general. That's what I'm talking about. So understand that people may not value your opinions, they may not care about what you have to say, even when the decisions will impact your life, right? And in some cultures, if we are very honest, that is the case. And that's a shame. That is a big shame, because what you will find is, if you don't hit the criteria, right, of the things I've mentioned, you not only become a victim, but you stay a victim. You know what I'm saying? You stay a victim. And if you're not the oldest, or if you're not successful, or you don't have so much money, right, and your opinion is not valued, well, guess what? Maybe it'll take you decades to be the oldest. Maybe it'll take you years, decades to be successful and have some money. So then, does that mean you should live till you're, 80, 90 before you can have your voices heard? Do you see where I'm going with this? Should you live till you're 80, 90, when you're going to be very, old, and that's when, okay, now you can get respect? That's weird. And then, you know what's messed up? This is what I've also noticed. People that don't like the way they were treated based on things like maybe they didn't have enough money, they weren't successful enough, or they weren't old enough. What happens is, when they have all those things, they start doing that to the people behind them. And that's very bad. That is very, very bad. It's horrible as fuck. It's not good. Okay? So, how do I link this to the channel? What my channel is all about, okay? If someone is trying to sabotage you, okay? If someone is lying about you and trying to dishonor your name and disrespect you and treat you like shit, the fact that they are maybe older than you, more successful than you, have more money than you, that means the people around, they ignore it. Yes, they ignore it. Not only do they ignore it, okay, they speak to you as if you're dumb and you should ignore it too, because how dare you speak about it? Yes, you don't like what I'm saying probably. Again, click away if you don't like it, but it is true. And if you have been through what I'm saying, let me know in the comment section, because I know a lot of you have, okay, especially if you're from a certain type of culture or certain type of cultures, okay, and this is all over the world, by the way, not just a certain part of the world. You know what I'm talking about, okay, you know what I'm talking about. Let me know in the comment section what you've been through as well, okay, and how you hate it. And if you like it, let me know. Most likely it benefits you is why you like it. And again, I'm not hating on that. I'm not blaming you, right? Get your benefits where you can get your benefits from. If it benefits you to be, you know, the oldest or more successful or have money, you're going to probably use that to your advantage and, you know, be in a superior position. Good for you. Now, so what happens is, if someone's been horrible to you, okay, and they're sabotaging you, they're lying on your name, they're trying to mess things up for you, or if they've wronged you, you've been told, right, that you don't get to protest that. You don't get to be pissed. You don't get to be angry. You don't get to hate it. Why? Well, because you don't have as much money as they do. You don't have a certain position in life like they do. Okay? You're not the, I don't know, regional director or something. All right? In your family, they'll say you don't have the most money. You're not the oldest. So you don't get to have an opinion. Which means if someone older than you crosses a line, you don't get to talk about it. You don't get to protest. You don't get to hate it. You have to shut up and put up with it. That's right. That's right. So, again, back to the purpose of this channel, which is to help people to deal with the toxicity around them and the toxic people around them. What you'll find is that culture is like an excuse to basically disrespect another human being who doesn't meet a certain criteria. That could be success, it could be age, it could be having money, or having a position in life, a certain position in life. And that's kind of discouraging, because it stops you being creative. Because you know your voice won't be heard if you do not meet the criteria. You can't have an opinion, you can't have an idea on how to make things better. Yeah, it could be in your family, you know, in your group of maybe friends, or depending on if they're all from the same type of culture. It could be maybe a religious establishment that you all go to, depending on your culture and how they value certain types of human beings at certain types of stages in their lives, you know, whether that's age, success, job-wise, positions in life. They will tell you to either be quiet because your opinion doesn't matter, or they will accept it depending on what stage you're at. Okay? So, just know that I'm telling you, your voice does matter. It really does matter. And that thing can fuck your mind up if you're like, they don't care about what I have to say, even though the decisions they're going to make is going to affect me. And I'm not saying give a 4-year-old, you know, the ability to make decisions in their lives. No. I'm talking about you're an adult, right? You're an adult. You're a proper adult, you know. And there are people who are in your family, or maybe a group, a social group that practice the same culture with that same mindset. They, because of their age or the success or position in life, or maybe job-wise, they think their advice for you is the best, right? They think it's the best. Now, if you're someone who is not looking after yourself and you don't want to, you know, live a good life, you know, you're in criminal, you know, activity, you're doing criminal activity, you're involved in crime, if they're telling you ways to better your life, of course, listen to them. But you know that's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about you are living your life. You have opinions for your life. You have decisions you want to make for your life. And people who, because maybe they have a job in a certain position, in a certain organization, because they're age, because they're successful, or they have money, they automatically assume that what worked for them is what's going to work for you. And that's a very, very lazy way to live life. If you really want to truly help someone, you have to help them based on their situation. Okay, general advice is general for a reason. It can apply to most people, but not every single person. Okay? So if you really care about someone, right, and you are the kind of person who is in this one of these positions, whether because of you're successful, your age, you have a lot of money. If you want to help someone who's maybe younger than you, or maybe not successful as you, or not as rich as you, or they don't have any money at all, I suggest you help them properly, instead of assuming that because you have those things, you know more than them automatically. Try to help people out of their situation. If the person you're speaking to genuinely doesn't have their life together, sure, maybe general advice would help them in their lives, right? Maybe it would help them, general advice, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who are trying to do the best for themselves. They're doing well, they're trying, they're making effort. Don't assume that you know more than them, just like that. And just because someone is more successful, they're making more money, or they're older, please do not think that you don't get to voice your discomfort about certain things or certain people. Because in some families, in some cultures, in some social groups, right, they tell you or they communicate to you, you just know that because of someone's success, age, or position, you don't get to tell them you don't like what they're doing. You don't get to tell them that you don't like the way they treat you. You don't want to be disrespected. And that's very, very wrong. All right? If you want me to make videos on this, more videos on this, like a series, let me know in the comment section, because I absolutely will, okay? If there's more demand for this, then yes, I will supply more videos like this.